Good afternoon. I hope you're all well out there. It's uh, it's Sunday afternoon, just a little bit past, about 10 past 1, on the 17th of December. So I have a little bug trying to enter my system. So I would really appreciate prayers about that. Um, I'm just making sure I get everything I need health-wise and take care of business. And so far, it just seems to be more sinus affecting than anything else. So we'll see where it goes. I don't feel too bad, except for my throat doesn't feel the greatest, but it doesn't really feel like it hurts or anything. It just feels more, I don't know, it feels a little irritated. So, and I noticed my ears itch a little bit too. So I'm thinking it's probably sinuses. But anyway. So I'd appreciate your prayers. Whatever it is, it won't be too long, I'm sure. Um, I was listening to the Montagraph channel earlier today, and let me just turn down this background ambiance a little. I was I was listening to him this morning. He did a live stream yesterday, Montagraph. If you haven't heard of him, he's a pretty interesting guy to listen to. Um, I would put him on the short list as far as I'm concerned, a very, very short list on YouTube of content providers that have been very accurate and have integrity, let's just say. Dutch Sense would be another channel like that who reports on the earthquakes. But like I said, I'd have to really think before I started just rattling off people on YouTube that I think have really good integrity. But those are a couple, let's just say. And of the more well-known names. So, and that's just my 2 cents. But I've been listening to Monty ever since I've been viewing things on YouTube, and he brought up some really good points in a video that he just made. And it did get posted, so it's how to prove hoax holograms in the sky, plus Project Skybeam 2024, the master plan. So I wrote down a few things as he was going over these things. Now, we all are aware that there's going to be a blue beam hoax. Anybody that knows anything about von Braun, the German brain drain that came over with the German Nazi scientists, and began working on rockets for NASA. And von Braun had said that one of the last things that would happen would be a hoax of, aliens. It would be an alien hoax. And it would be the final deception. Now, Monty brought up that in Arizona in 1997 there was a Project Skybeam test. Now, I know it sounds familiar with blue, but it probably is the same thing. But Skybeam, apparently someplace in Arizona, a lot of people saw a very, very large, what appeared to be a craft, and didn't make any sound, like Monty said, because what doesn't make sound, it's just light. This would be a good time to bring up the fact that Satan is an angel of light. I'll just leave that there for now, but he does deceive people as an angel of light. Monty was also talking about acoustics and sound, and that people had been hearing these rumblings and explosions, and they couldn't tell where they were coming from. Sometimes it sounded like metal scooting, and sometimes it sounded like trumpets, and horns or something. And nobody, it was all over the world, and nobody could tell where they were coming from. And he believes that that's part of this acoustic. So giving this thing that we're looking at in the sky some kind of a more realistic, thing, besides just we see this massive thing. Now all of a sudden it's accompanied by a sound we've never heard that's extremely loud, right? And Monty brought up the idea of using a green laser pointer to shoot through whatever it appears to be up there as, is that a spaceship or does the light go through it because it's a hologram? Warning people ahead of time, because apparently, and he keeps saying this, it's coming in 2024, that this massive thing is going to happen. Now, we see a lot of things as Christians waiting for Christ's return. We see a lot of things happening in 2024. And I would also like to add to that whole scenario, you've got something that looks very realistic up there, okay? Now you've got something that sounds very realistic all around you. Now, what else would you need? How about some tremors in the ground at the same time you hear the sound? Would that be a good effect? Because you can easily do that. I remember watching a whole thing about how they used seismographs, I think it's called, to look at depths of oil, and they use small charges of explosives, and they set off these explosives, and then they see the reverberation underground, and they can tell what they're looking at with their instruments where the oil is, or if there is oil, or how far down it is, right? And so they're looking for oil deposits, and they can cause minor earthquakes. And they've known that for a long time. And of course, the antenna array up in Alaska is, if you've looked into that, HAARP, can amplify. Um, it can do the same thing. It can actually direct earthquakes, theoretically, bouncing it off the atmosphere to someplace else and causing earthquakes, which is another thing. There's instances of that being rumored to have happened, but that's a whole rabbit hole there. I'll just stay out of there. But 2024, over and over, and we all see so many things happening in 2024. As far as the church goes, we're wondering if we're going to make it out of here this year. I am. I'm kind of I really hope to be home for Christmas. I see that'll accomplish a couple of things. For one, it would be everyone's Christmas that they never forgot. It would be the best Christmas that anybody would ever have in their whole existence. And I look at it from the other point of view, that it would be a happy day for Jesus to bring his bride home on his birthday. So it's a win-win. I'm just reasoning it out. I just want to go. But I mean, I'm looking at it like it might be this year. I'm still looking at it. If it's next year, I don't see us being around very, very long at all next year. But I don't see it being that. I don't see us getting that far so far. That's just me. I'm still thinking this year. I'm kind of hoping for Christmas, but we'll see. But at any rate, let's see. How do you alter? He wanted to know, how do you alter these long, strong held beliefs and views of people in the Bible Belt? He talked about 11 states where they have a Bible in one hand and a shotgun in the other, and they've believed these things all their lives. And how are you going to convince them that these are not demons but they're aliens, right? And I don't think that you're going to. And see, this is my thing. Monty might believe completely different about this, and I do believe there are a whole lot of people that are going to be hoaxed. But I think by the time we see a lot of this stuff, we see as Christians, myself, I do believe that what we're seeing, there could be a lot of things that we don't know about, and I'm not going to even go there. But I'm just saying my own personal thing is what I see. If there's aliens, they're not from out there. They're interdimensional. Okay. Um, and I would also say that Legion from the Bible that Jesus cast into the swine were interdimensional. Okay. And I would go as far as to suggest that they might be roaming around in the internet right now, because we've created a system that they could probably adapt and live in and move all over the place wherever they want to. And the Internet of things like your car, your phone, your brain chip, right? Monty talks about the chip in the hand, how to deactivate the chip and things like that. Those of us who are Christians, if we're even here long enough to witness this, we're going to narc everybody out. Nobody's going to get away with this alien nonsense. We're going to tell them it's holograms. Not only that, we're going to tell them it's demons, it's something, but it's not. It's not aliens, and we're going to tell. We're going to tattle, right? We know better. We know what's going to happen. We can see this coming already. We're seeing it on the horizon as an event about to happen. It's going to hoax a whole bunch of people, and it will. It will. But I don't believe it's going to hoax the people that are watching and waiting. The people who have really become one of his own, who are following Jesus as close as they can because they know he's coming. He's coming soon, maybe before the end of this year. I hope. But imagine, he brings up the scenario of no power, and all these things make sense. I could see it all getting ready to happen, and I wouldn't be surprised that as Christians, before the tribulation, that we will witness some of that ourselves. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I would think that it would be a little weird that we wouldn't see some of that coming, and maybe in a big way. We just don't know yet. But I can say that a lot of what I see coming right now, with the RFID, with the currency, the global leaders getting ready to pop up onto the scene, all of this just means that we're going to be out here. We know too much to be left behind. And I think there's two different kinds of people. There's the kind of people that are already believing what's happening and they're going to continue to, and then there's the ones that don't. And there's a handful still out there that haven't made up their minds. And that's all we're waiting for. But I wanted to make a point. We're I guess what I want to say is as people who are aware of what's going to happen, we also understand that we are under a great deception right now, and it's going to be amplified very, very soon, especially if the Holy Spirit was pulled out of the picture. Wow. Once the restrainer is gone, this deception is going to amplify, and you're not going to have much choice. It'll be you do or you die kind of situation pretty soon, I would think. And I see that those people are going to either continue to believe this lie, that's this great deception that's happening right now, that's satanic. It's a satanic deception that's happening. They're going to continue to believe it. And those of us who don't and can see what it is will continue to reject it. And I think we'll be gone. But at some point, God is going to send, and this is, I think people get these mixed up sometimes, sorry about that. My background ambiance was this. You got to love YouTube. You put on something for 2 hours to listen to bird sounds or something, and a commercial interrupts you. But anyway, it is what it is, and we know what it is. So I digress. Let me get back to this. So in Thessalonians here, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, in verse 7, it says, "For the mystery of iniquity doth already work." And that's what's happening right now, and it was happening then. "Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way." I'm sorry. Let me repeat that. "For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way." That's the Holy Spirit. Okay. "Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power, and signs, and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved." Okay, in verse 11, "And for this cause God shall send them a strong delusion." This is not Satan with a great deception. This is because they didn't turn from that deception, and God says, okay, we're going to seal that fate for you right now with a strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. That comes from God, from having enough and saying, fine, if that's what you want, then that's what you'll have. I think we're looking at that right now. That's my opinion. That's what I thought about when I listened to Monty. That was a pretty good video, you guys. It was long, but if you got time to listen to a 2-hour video, I suggest Monty's last one might be a pretty good one to listen to. Just see what you think about him if you haven't ever heard of him before. But at any rate, Monty does not profess to be a Christian, but he is obviously very studied on Christians, those of us who call ourselves Christians. And I like to consider myself a Christ one. It's sort of, that's how it started. And as Christians, Christ ones, followers of Christ, kind of differentiates me from everybody else, because anybody can be a Christian these days. But not everyone is one of his. Okay. Love you guys. Hope you're having a nice Sunday. And I'll see you soon.